So I'm going to talk about my experience of providing a research data management service at the University of Reading over the past decade or so, in fact. So I've been the research data manager at Reading since 2014. The research data service is based in the library's research engagement team. I manage and mostly deliver that service with some support from a colleague. We have a total of about 1.2 FTE, and we support academic staff and postgraduate research students. The service includes information and guidance provided through this website. We have a help desk service. We provide training through the core staff and PGR programs. I support grant applications. I review data management plans prior to submission of the grant, where these are required by the funder. We also support the use of data management plans in ethical review procedures. I manage the university's data repository, the Research Data Archive, and I also manage our REDCap service. REDCap is a research database platform. It's widely used to collect and manage data from research participants, and I implemented that service in 2020 in response to user demand. Prior to working at Reading, I was a systems librarian at STFC Rutherford Appleton Laboratory in Oxfordshire. I was lucky enough while there to work on an EU-funded project which is about how research policy and infrastructure can support the exchange and reuse of research data. And that was really my introduction to research data management. I think if I hadn't been involved in that project, I doubt if I would have applied for the job at Reading. The brief for that job was to implement an RDM service for the university, including a data repository. When I started in the job, I had a basic understanding of research data management. I would say I had no experience of providing RDM support. I was based initially in the Research Services Office, and the main driver for the university was about complying with funders' policies and expectations. Other than that, there wasn't really a well-defined blueprint for what the service should look like, so the first few years were very much a steep learning curve. And I don't think that was unusual for the time, around 2014, when quite a lot of universities were just starting to establish RDM services and to create new posts. What did help me a lot in those early years was the RDM community. So I visited colleagues in other institutions to find out how they did things. I attended events organized by the DCC and others. We had some DCC consultancy to help us understand our service needs and how to meet them. And all of these things helped me to mature and gain confidence as an RDM professional. By 2015, the basic elements of the RDM service were in place. We'd implemented the data repository. We had an RDM policy. At that point, I was made permanent as the university's research data manager. As time went on from then, I found myself working more closely with my library colleagues, supporting research publishing and open access, especially as the university began to develop its open research strategy. By 2019, it made sense for me to move into the library and to become part of what was established as the research engagement team. And I've been based there ever since. Services, of course, are constantly evolving, and I'm always looking for opportunities to grow and embed RDM in the fabric of the university. I wanted to highlight a couple of examples. I think they nicely demonstrate how we can integrate data management into the everyday practice of doing research by building it into existing processes. So we've introduced a requirement for data management plans to be submitted as part of ethical review. That's ensuring that researchers are planning for the ethical sharing of data collected from participants right from the outset. We're also in the process of introducing a requirement for PhD students to submit a data management plan as part of their confirmation of registration. When we started developing this policy last year, I made some inquiries in the community about institutions that had implemented similar policies, and the responses I received indicated that there was considerable interest in this topic, and that led me to organize a practice sharing online workshop, which we held in May this year with colleagues in the London Area Research Data Group. That was attended by over 70 RDM professionals, and I think that's a nice example of how we support each other and grow together as a professional community. I've also been involved over the years in strategic activity to develop open research capability in the university. I see this very much as being part of making data curation and sharing, among other things, simply part of how good research is done. So this has entailed me working with research leadership and seeking to influence strategy and activity through the university's governance structures and working groups. None of this is strictly in my job description. It goes beyond purely providing an RDM service, but I've been able to develop my role in this way. I've possibly had more freedom to do this than others in similar roles in other institutions, but I think it's surely true that all of us working in RDM are in the business of cultural change, and that's a lot of what makes the job interesting for me. So I've been engaged in the university's evolving open research initiative since about 2017. I've helped to develop and implement the university's open research action plans. I've led on organising and delivering events like conference events, open research awards, competitions, and open research champions programme. I also latched onto the idea that integrating recognition and reward for open research into the ways that researchers are assessed can drive cultural change, can influence the behaviour of individual researchers. And I've been seeking to advance that agenda through the university's Research Assessment Working Group, which I helped to establish in 2022. And that group is developing a university research assessment policy, one of the principles of which is that assessment should recognise openness and reproducibility in research. I've also been pursuing that theme in the UK sector through my involvement in the UKRN OR4 project, which aims to support institutions to implement effective recognition and reward for open research. And I led on developing a toolkit for institutions, which was released in the autumn of last year. The QR code will take you to that toolkit if you're interested. So I'll just wrap up with a few reflections. For me, working in research data management, it's not just about providing a service, it's about working to change culture and practice. That's what makes it both challenging and endlessly interesting. Defining RDM professional roles and competencies should be very much part of that cultural change. We need those defined, recognized roles and career pathways. Lastly, I would just emphasize the value of the professional community and its representative bodies in supporting the professionalization of research data management. I've certainly benefited greatly from the members of that community in my career, and I'm very grateful to all those who have helped me along the way. Working in RDM within our institutions, it's a specialist role. It can be quite a lonely one at times, so we do rely on that wider community outside of our organizations to give us our professional standing and support. And that's why I'm very pleased to see the launch of this CaSDaR project. I think it's very much a project whose time has come. And with that, I will conclude. Thank you very much for listening.